The galaxy was a place of fear. Across vast stretches of space, civilizations trembled at the mention of the Zarkor. For centuries, they had been the terror of the stars, an ancient and ruthless alien species that left nothing but ashes in their wake. Planets fell, species vanished, and even the most advanced technologies were powerless against their devastating forces. The Zarkor didn't just conquer, they obliterated everything they touched, leaving nothing behind but broken civilizations, enslaved populations, and the faint echoes of their victims' cries. In the far reaches of space, the Galactic Council, a collective of the most powerful species in the universe, convened in secret. Leaders of every major race sat in a darkened chamber, their faces filled with fear and helplessness. They had seen countless star systems burn, watched entire cultures crumble, and even their most formidable fleets had been wiped out by the overwhelming might of the Zarkor. The Galactic Council was supposed to be a beacon of hope and unity in the galaxy, but in the face of the Zarkor, it was nothing more than a fragile dream. A new message arrived, a signal from the Zarkor fleet, and its chilling contents sent a wave of panic through the Council. The message was simple, brutal, and clear: surrender or face total annihilation. The fate of the galaxy now lay in the hands of the Zarkor. And as history had shown time and time again, anyone who opposed them was destined to fall. How much longer can we survive? A leader of the Sulari, a peaceful species from the Andromeda galaxy, whispered as she looked at the holographic image of the galaxy's fractured systems. Our defenses are useless against them. Every race we've sent to fight them has been destroyed. The camera zoomed in on the other representatives in the room. The Noctar, a race of powerful reptilian creatures, looked defeated. Their once imposing empire had been reduced to a mere shadow of its former glory. The Ilara, a technologically advanced species known for their speed and agility, clenched their fists in frustration, knowing that their fleets had already been obliterated. And then there was Earth, a planet in the far corner of the galaxy, barely even on the radar of the Galactic Council. A planet that many had long dismissed as insignificant and unworthy of attention. But as the Galactic Council despaired, a spark of defiance flickered in the depths of the unknown. Earth, the overlooked, the underestimated, stood at the edge of the galaxy, silent, waiting, unaware of the cataclysm that was about to descend upon it. The Zarkor, confident in their power, made their move. Massive, menacing warships descended upon Earth's atmosphere, their dark silhouettes blotting out the stars as they began their relentless assault. The skies turned black with their ships as they released waves of destruction, their weapons capable of turning cities to dust in mere seconds. They had done it countless times before, and Earth was just another step in their plan to dominate the galaxy. The Council watched with bated breath. They knew what was coming. They had seen it all before: worlds destroyed, people slaughtered. This time, however, something was different. Earth didn't react in fear. No plea for mercy came. No signal of surrender. In fact, there was nothing at all. Do they not understand the power we possess? The voice of the Zarkor general echoed over the comms, filled with an unsettling confidence. We give them one last chance to bow before us, or we burn this planet to the ground. As the general's voice faded, an eerie silence enveloped the Galactic Council. Even the Ilara leader, known for her quick wit and sharp intelligence, could not hide her concern. They remained silent. Do they not know the power of the Zarkor? Why is Earth not responding? And then, just as hope seemed lost, something unexpected happened. A faint signal, low and distorted, flickered through the Council's communication channels. The noise grew clearer, and then, unmistakably, a voice broke through the static. We don't surrender. The message was simple, but it echoed with a power that sent chills down the spines of the Galactic Council members. This wasn't a plea. It wasn't an act of desperation. This was defiance. This was humanity's answer to the Zarkor. Who dares to defy us? The Zarkor general snarled, unable to comprehend the audacity of Earth's message. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Earth was nothing but a tiny speck in the vastness of space, a planet of humans, weak, primitive by galactic standards. What could they possibly do against the power of the Zarkor? The camera zoomed in on Earth's capital city. The lights from human cities were dimmed, and the air was thick with tension. But deep beneath the surface, hidden from the eyes of the invaders, humanity was preparing for a battle that would change the course of galactic history forever. In the heart of Earth's military command center, General Callum stood tall, his expression hard as stone. His fingers hovered over the control panel, making final adjustments to the humanity's last line of defense. For decades, humanity had been preparing for something like this. They had faced many challenges before, but none like this. The Zarkor were not just an enemy. They were a force of destruction that could wipe out whole civilizations. But General Callum knew something the Zarkor didn't. Humanity didn't give up. "We may not be the strongest," he said quietly to his team, "but we are survivors. And that is our greatest weapon." As the Zarkor fleet neared Earth's atmosphere, their sensors scanning for any trace of resistance, they found nothing. The silence was unnerving. They sent down their first wave of invasion forces, massive transport ships carrying troops and weapons, descending upon Earth's surface. They were confident, too confident. The Zarkor hadn't considered the one thing that would make Earth different from the planets they had destroyed before: humanity's ability to fight back. And so, as the first Zarkor warship made its way through the atmosphere, something unexpected happened. The human stealth warships, cloaked in advanced technology, emerged from the shadows. Eye-controlled drones buzzed to life, launching strikes against the alien fleet with pinpoint precision, and the first wave of Zarkor ships fell from the sky. The Zarkor general watched in disbelief as his fleet was torn apart. Impossible. How could they? They thought they could crush us, but they didn't know who they were dealing with. The words echoed through the comms, this time spoken not by the general, but by the voice of General Callum himself. At that moment, the tide began to turn. Humanity, once considered weak and insignificant, had made its first stand. And as the Zarkor scrambled to regroup, they were met with something they had never expected: the determination of a species unwilling to surrender. Earth's fate was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: the battle for the galaxy had just begun. And this time, it was the Zarkor who would learn the true meaning of fear. The galaxy was still reeling from the news of Earth's unexpected defiance. The Zarkor, an ancient species of terrifying power, had long been the rulers of the stars. Their destructive capabilities were unmatched. No one, not even the mightiest empires in the galaxy, had ever stood up to them and survived. The Zarkor had burned countless worlds to the ground, enslaved entire species, and left nothing but death in their wake. Now that they had set their sights on Earth, a small, seemingly insignificant planet in the corner of the galaxy, the Zarkor fleet, massive and intimidating, descended into Earth's atmosphere. Their ships were colossal, their hulls gleaming with deadly technology that had proven effective against even the most advanced civilizations. Their appearance in the skies was enough to send a ripple of fear through the population of Earth. But the humans were not about to crumble. The Earth's leaders, generals, and soldiers had been preparing for this moment for years, and now it was time to reveal humanity's true strength. The Zarkor didn't expect much resistance. They believed Earth was just another helpless world, unprepared for the might of their fleet. They had invaded countless planets before, and they expected Earth to fall just as easily. With arrogance, the Zarkor initiated their bombardment. Their massive ships began firing down on Earth's surface, unleashing waves of destruction. Each blast was powerful enough to level entire cities, turning the once bustling metropolises into ruins. But the Zarkor had underestimated Earth, and they were about to find out that they were facing something entirely different this time. Unbeknownst to the Zarkor, Earth's defenses were not as helpless as they had assumed. Hidden in the shadows, cloaked in advanced technology, Earth's response forces waited. The human fleet, made up of stealth warships and AI-controlled drones, lay dormant beneath the radar, undetected by the alien invaders. The cloaking devices kept them hidden from the Zarkor sensors, allowing them to remain completely undetectable. Then, without warning, everything changed. As the Zarkor ships continued their bombardment, they noticed something strange. The air around them seemed to shimmer. And then, in an instant, Earth's hidden forces struck. The first wave of AI-controlled drones surged forward, emerging from the shadows with stunning speed. They were like deadly swarms of insects, darting and weaving through the air, moving faster than the Zarkor ships could react. These drones were equipped with the latest technology, from advanced energy weapons to devastating EMP blasts, designed to cripple even the most powerful of fleets. They unleashed a barrage of firepower that caught the Zarkor completely off guard. Ships were torn apart in seconds, their shields failing under the intense assault. Explosions rippled through the Zarkor fleet as the drones weaved through the chaos, systematically targeting and disabling the alien vessels. But it wasn't just the drones that made the difference. Earth's stealth warships, concealed by cloaking devices, emerged from their hiding spots like shadows in the night. These ships were built for speed and precision, equipped with advanced technology that allowed them to strike without being seen. As they launched their attacks, their weapons fired with pinpoint accuracy, blasting apart Zarkor warships with devastating force. The Zarkor had no time to react. Their ships, which were once thought to be invulnerable, were crumbling before their very eyes. The battle was fierce and fast-paced. The Zarkor fleet tried to retaliate, but they were caught off guard, their advanced technology unable to match the unpredictability and speed of Earth's defenses. Explosions rocked the skies as the Zarkor ships scrambled to regroup. Panic spread across their ranks. They were used to fighting against weak, helpless species that surrendered without a fight. But Earth was different. The humans were not just surviving. They were fighting back with a ferocity the Zarkor had never seen before. On Earth's command ship, General Callum watched the battle unfold on the massive holographic screen in front of him. His jaw clenched as he saw the destruction happening to the Zarkor fleet. His team was executing the plan perfectly. "We've only just begun," he said, his voice cold but determined. "Keep the pressure on them. Don't give them a chance to recover." Meanwhile, in the heart of the fight, Earth's AI-controlled drones were making their mark. These drones weren't just machines. They were extensions of humanity's will. Every drone was equipped with state-of-the-art weapons, designed not only to incapacitate the enemy, but to inspire fear in their ranks. They flew through the battlefield with grace and precision, launching guided missiles and firing high-powered laser beams that disintegrated Zarkor ships in a matter of seconds. The alien forces were in disarray, their once unbeatable fleet now a collection of burning wreckage in the sky. The Zarkor commanders, watching the battle from their flagship, could hardly believe what they were seeing. Their ships were falling faster than they could replace them. The arrogance they had once felt had now turned into panic. "How are they doing this?" one of the commanders muttered, barely able to comprehend what was happening. "These humans, they've outsmarted us." The Zarkor general, who had been so sure of victory, was now pacing frantically in his command center. "Send everything we have. Don't let them escape. Prepare for full offensive," he barked. But it was too late. The Zarkor had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, to fight back. And now they were paying the price. Back on Earth, the victory was starting to sink in. The humans had proven something that no one had expected. They could fight, and they could fight well. They were not the weak, defenseless creatures that the Zarkor had thought them to be. In fact, humanity had just delivered a crushing blow to the alien fleet, and the Zarkor were beginning to realize that this was not going to be an easy conquest. General Callum stood at the command center, a slight smile playing at the corner of his lips. "This is just the beginning. We've shown them what we're capable of. We've shown them that we will not be crushed. The battle wasn't over, but Earth had sent a clear message to the Tsar Corps. They would not go down without a fight. And as the remnants of the Tsar Corps fleet scattered in fear, humanity's resolve only grew stronger. The war had only just begun, and the stakes had never been higher. The humans weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their future, for their home, and for the galaxy itself. And the Tsar Corps had just awakened a force they couldn't even begin to understand. As the Tsar Corps fleet staggered in retreat, it became clear that Earth was not the helpless target they had imagined. The battle was far from over, and humanity had more surprises in store. The Tsar Corps, with their technologically superior weapons, had underestimated one critical thing: the adaptability of humankind. They thought they could simply crush Earth and move on, like they had done to so many civilizations before, but Earth was different. Humanity was a force of nature, born and bred in one of the harshest environments in the galaxy. Earth was a death world, and its inhabitants had learned to survive through sheer will and ingenuity. Flashbacks to Earth's past began to unfold, showing a planet battered by extreme conditions. From the violent storms that ravaged the surface to the brutal predators that roamed the lands, Earth had always been a world that demanded resilience from its inhabitants. Over the centuries, humanity had learned to endure the harshest conditions, to adapt and evolve in ways that no other species had. It was this survival instinct, this ability to overcome any obstacle, that would prove to be humanity's greatest weapon in the war against the Tsar Corps. The story then shifted to a young human soldier named Bonner, who had already made a name for himself as a fearless leader. Bonner had grown up in the heart of Earth's most dangerous regions, where survival was a constant battle. He had witnessed the death of his comrades, the destruction of cities, and the constant threat of extinction. But it was in this chaos that he had developed the qualities that would make him a natural leader. Bonner understood the value of unity, of relying on each other in the face of adversity, and he had learned how to turn the tide of battle with sheer determination and strategy. As the Tsar Corps continued their assault, Bonner and his team of elite soldiers were dispatched to lead the counteroffensive. They weren't the most powerful in terms of technology, but they were relentless. Their mission was simple: to stop the Tsar Corps invasion at all costs. With Earth's eye-controlled drones and stealth warships in full force, Bonner's team would spearhead a series of critical strikes that would leave the Tsar Corps scrambling to maintain control. Bonner's tactics were far from conventional. He used every ounce of Earth's terrain, every tool at his disposal, and above all, the adaptability that had kept humanity alive for millennia. Bonner's leadership style was unorthodox, but effective. He understood that victory didn't always come from sheer strength. It came from strategy, from knowing your enemy and using their weaknesses against them. The Tsar Corps had their advanced weaponry, but they lacked the flexibility that Earth's warriors had developed. The Tsar Corps were predictable, rigid in their approach, and this was where humanity had the edge. Earth's soldiers weren't bound by protocol. They were capable of thinking on their feet, adapting to the ever-changing battlefield. With every move they made, they confused the Tsar Corps, forcing them into situations where their superior technology became a disadvantage. Meanwhile, the AI systems that humanity had developed were evolving right alongside the battle. These systems were unlike any the Tsar Corps had ever encountered. They weren't just programmed to follow orders. They were designed to learn, to adapt, and to come up with new strategies in the heat of battle. As Bonner and his soldiers led the charge, the AI was working behind the scenes, analyzing every move the Tsar Corps made, adjusting tactics, and creating new ways to outsmart their technologically superior foes. The more the Tsar Corps pushed forward, the more they found themselves caught in traps laid by Earth's machines. Each new tactic made by the Tsar Corps was countered by a smarter, faster response from humanity. The Tsar Corps, despite their impressive weaponry, began to show signs of strain. They could no longer rely on their advanced tech to carry them through the war. They had faced countless species before, but none had fought back with such cunning and innovation. Bonner's tactics were pushing them to their limits, forcing them into unexpected situations where they had to fight not just with their weapons, but with their wits. For the first time, the Tsar Corps realized they were facing an enemy that would not simply bow down to them. Bonner and his team were not invincible, but they were united, and that made all the difference. Even when things seemed hopeless, they found a way to push forward. Their unity was their strength. As they fought side by side, they were a symbol of Earth's resilience. Every loss was a reminder of what they were fighting for, but it also fueled their determination. Every fallen soldier was avenged with 10 times the strength, 10 times the ferocity. It was this bond that the Tsar Corps could not understand. They believed in power, in control, in the supremacy of their technology. But the humans believed in each other, in their unity, and in their ability to adapt to any challenge that came their way. With each battle, the Tsar Corps' grip on Earth weakened. It wasn't that the humans were stronger, but they were smarter. They had something the Tsar Corps didn't: the ability to think outside the box, to improvise when the odds were against them. And as the Tsar Corps lost ground, they began to realize that their advantage in technology was not enough to guarantee their victory. Humanity had something they had never encountered before: the unbreakable will to fight for their survival. The Tsar Corps leaders watched in disbelief as Bonner and his team turned the tide of battle. The humans were relentless, their attacks precise and calculated. The Tsar Corps ships, once thought to be invulnerable, were now being systematically destroyed. Each victory felt like a personal blow to the Tsar Corps, a reminder that their superiority was not guaranteed. But even as the humans gained ground, they knew that the Tsar Corps were not to be underestimated. They were still a powerful force, and the war was far from over. Bonner knew that the next phase of the battle would be even harder, but he wasn't afraid. He had seen what humans could do when they were pushed to their limits. He knew that Earth was capable of more than just survival. It was capable of victory. The Tsar Corps may have had the technology, but humanity had something they would never have: the ability to adapt, to evolve, and to fight with everything they had. As Bonner and his team prepared for the next assault, they knew one thing for sure: this was humanity's moment. The Tsar Corps had come to conquer, but humanity was going to make sure they learned the hard way. The underdog doesn't always stay down. Sometimes the underdog wins, and that's what Earth was about to prove. The war was far from over. It had only just begun. As the Tsar Corps fleet retreated from their earlier defeat, they quickly regrouped, unwilling to let go of their ambition to conquer Earth. What they didn't understand was that humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. Earth had become a battleground for justice, revenge, and the memory of the brave souls who had already fallen. And in this fight, humanity was going to make sure that the Tsar Corps paid for every life they took. Humanity's warships, now fully mobilized, cut through space like a storm. Their advanced technology, once thought to be inferior to the Tsar Corps', was now a force to be reckoned with. Eye-controlled drones, fast and deadly, swarmed the battlefield, launching a relentless barrage against the Tsar Corps ships. But it wasn't just the machines fighting. Humanity's soldiers were right there alongside them, battling hand-to-hand in the heart of the action. The combat was intense. Laser guns blazed as human soldiers, and Tsar Corps forces clashed in close-quarters combat. The very air seemed to crackle with energy, charged with the power of exploding warships and laser blasts that split the sky. The ships, once majestic symbols of destruction, were now mere targets. The Tsar Corps, realizing they were in a fight unlike anything they had ever experienced, scrambled to defend their positions, but the humans were relentless. One particular scene stood out as humanity's determination pushed them to new extremes: orbital bombardment. As the Tsar Corps retreated to their strategic outposts on distant moons, human warships took to the skies, targeting key alien outposts with pinpoint accuracy. The bombs fell like fire, and the explosions rippled through the atmosphere. Human forces were methodical and unyielding, each blast from the sky shaking the Tsar Corps' confidence even further. But it wasn't just the ships that were wreaking havoc. Bonner's team was deep in the fray, on the surface of the planets, fighting in the trenches. Their mission was to cut off any remaining Zarkor forces and claim victory on the ground. But as the battle wore on, they were met with even fiercer resistance. For every victory, there was a loss, and for every inch of ground gained, there was a price to pay. The battle was taking its toll, physically and emotionally, on the human soldiers. Bonner had seen comrades fall before, but this time was different. This time, they were not just fighting for victory. They were fighting to avenge those who had already fallen. And the Zarkor had made a fatal mistake by taking someone close to him. Sergeant Daniels, Bonner's second-in-command, had been with him from the beginning. A man of strength, honor, and courage, Daniels had been a rock for Bonner and the rest of the team. But in the heat of the battle, everything changed. As the team advanced through the wreckage of a Zarkor-held outpost, they were ambushed. The Zarkor had set a trap, and despite their best efforts to fight back, Daniels didn't make it out. The emotional impact was devastating. Bonner, who had led with strength and confidence, was now broken. The loss of Daniels hit him harder than any explosion or laser blast. The bond between soldiers was unbreakable, and the death of his close friend was a reminder of the price of war. As he knelt beside Daniels' lifeless body, Bonner's heart burned with fury and grief. He made a silent vow to honor his fallen comrade, not just for his sacrifice, but for the countless other soldiers who had lost their lives. "We will make them pay," Bonner whispered, his voice barely audible above the sounds of the continuing battle. The loss of Sergeant Daniels sent a shockwave through the ranks. The soldiers who had already been fighting for their homes, their families, and their planet, now fought with a renewed sense of purpose. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for justice, for revenge. The emotional weight of Daniel's death ignited a fire in the hearts of the human soldiers. The stakes had never been higher, and every battle now felt like a personal one. As the fighting continued, humanity's soldiers pressed on. Their resolve solidified. The Zarkor, despite their superior technology, were now on the back foot. They had made the mistake of underestimating humanity, and now they were paying for it. But the humans knew that they could not let up. The Zarkor were vicious, relentless, and they would not stop until they had wiped Earth off the map. The ground battles were fierce, with humans fighting in the streets of ruined cities, navigating debris-filled landscapes where Zarkor forces hid behind fortified walls. It was brutal, gritty combat, nothing like the clean, controlled warfare of the Zarkor. The humans were used to surviving in conditions like these, and it showed. The Zarkor, however, were unprepared for this kind of battle. They were technologically superior, but they had no experience with the kind of street fighting and guerrilla warfare that humanity had perfected over millennia. Within moments, the Zarkor flagship lost all control. It began to spin uncontrollably, its hull creaking under the pressure as it was drawn closer and closer to the center of the artificial black hole. The crew aboard the flagship, realizing the imminent danger, scrambled to activate their own escape pods, but it was futile. The gravitational forces were too great, and within seconds, the entire flagship was consumed by the black hole. The ship collapsed into the singularity, vanishing from existence in a flash of light and energy. The Zarkor fleet, watching in disbelief, could only witness the destruction of their once impenetrable flagship. Panic spread like wildfire through the alien ranks. Their flagship, the heart of their offensive, was gone. The loss of their most powerful asset sent shockwaves through their fleet. Their morale plummeted, and many of their ships, once so confident and organized, were now in disarray. The Zarkor, once the terrifying conquerors of the galaxy, were no longer invincible. The sight of their flagship disappearing into the void was the turning point. The humans had struck back, and they had struck with a vengeance. As the Zarkor forces scrambled to regroup, it became clear that the humans were no longer the underdogs. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. Humanity, with its ingenuity and determination, had managed to achieve what was once thought impossible. The Tsar Corps, who had considered Earth an insignificant backward planet, had underestimated the resilience and resourcefulness of the human race. The entire galaxy watched in awe as the Tsar Corps flagship was destroyed. News of humanity's victory spread like wildfire across the stars. The Galactic Council, once so dismissive of Earth's potential, now saw humanity in a new light. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had not only survived the Tsar Corps' initial onslaught, but they had struck back with a weapon that could change the course of the war. The Tsar Corps, now rattled and uncertain, could only retreat and regroup, but they knew deep down that the balance had shifted. In the wake of the destruction of the Tsar Corps flagship, humanity's forces pressed forward with newfound confidence. Bonner, the leader of the human ground forces, stood at the forefront, watching the spectacle unfold from the battlefield. His heart swelled with pride, not just for his own soldiers, but for every human who had contributed to this victory. The artificial black hole was a symbol of their collective will, a testament to their determination to protect their home and their loved ones. But despite the triumph, Bonner knew that the war was far from over. The Tsar Corps were not a species to surrender easily. They would regroup, they would adapt, and they would come back with a vengeance. However, what the Tsar Corps failed to realize was that humanity was not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for something much greater: the freedom of the galaxy, the protection of their planet, and the future of their species. The Tsar Corps might have the numbers, the technology, and the might, but they didn't have the one thing humanity possessed in abundance: heart. Humans had faced death before and come out stronger. They had faced seemingly insurmountable odds and still managed to stand tall. And now, with their ultimate weapon revealed, humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. The Tsar Corps fleet, though shaken, still had power. They would not back down quietly. But humanity had proven that they could hold their ground, that they could not only survive but fight back. The Tsar Corps may have once thought themselves to be the masters of the universe, but now they knew the truth. They were not invincible. And humanity, humans, the so-called underdogs, had become the galaxy's last hope. As the Tsar Corps regrouped and retreated to the farthest reaches of space, they knew one thing for certain: Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored. Humanity had risen, and with the power of their ultimate weapon, they had struck the first blow in what would be a long and hard-fought war. The Tsar Corps may have had the upper hand once, but they no longer did. The tide had turned, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had proven that they were ready to fight, to win, and to claim their place among the stars. The final battle was imminent. Deep in the vast reaches of space, the human fleet and their allies, races from across the galaxy who had witnessed humanity's courage, were preparing for the ultimate showdown against the remaining Tsar Corps forces. The Tsar Corps, reeling from the loss of their flagship and shaken by the destruction of their most powerful weapon, had no choice but to rally every last ship they had left for a final, desperate attempt to crush humanity once and for all. Humanity's forces, once the underdogs in this war, now stood ready for their greatest challenge. Earth's defenses had proven to be effective, and their eye-controlled drones and stealth warships had turned the tide of battle multiple times. But now, as the war reached its climax, the humans knew that victory could not simply be won with technology alone. It would take more than just weapons. It would take heart, unity, and the will to win. As the two fleets engaged, the space around them erupted into chaos. Laser beams streaked across the void, exploding against ships with blinding flashes. Tsar Corps warships, towering and menacing, collided with human vessels in fierce, close-quarters combat. The Tsar Corps' ag-directed ships were precise and efficient, but they lacked the adaptability and emotional strength that humans had shown time and time again. The Tsar Corps relied on their machines, their advanced technology, and their cold logic, but humanity's strength was in its creativity, its ability to think beyond the obvious, and its refusal to give up. Amid the battle, Bonner, now promoted to the rank of general, was leading his forces on the front lines. His face was set with determination, his mind focused on the task at hand. The Tsar Corps had underestimated humans from the beginning, assuming that their eye-controlled superiority would be enough to dominate Earth. They had been wrong. The war had not just been about military might. It had been about the courage to stand against overwhelming odds. Humanity's victory was not just about winning the war. It was about proving that no matter the enemy, no matter the challenge, humans would never back down. As the Tsar Corps flagship had fallen into the black hole, the rest of their fleet had scattered, retreating into the depths of space in a panic. Bonner's fleet pursued them, determined to finish the job and bring the war to its final conclusion. The humans were no longer the hunted. They were the hunters. The Tsar Corps had no more tricks up their sleeves. Their mighty ships, now battered and broken, were no match for the combined might of the human fleet and their allies. The final battle took place in the heart of deep space, far from any planet, where the fate of the galaxy would be decided. The Tsar Corps had made a fatal mistake by underestimating the humans, and now they were paying the price. One by one, their ships were disabled, their fleets falling apart under the pressure. Humanity, united and unyielding, pushed forward, breaking through the Tsar Corps' defenses and striking at the heart of their empire. The battle reached its peak when the Tsar Corps' supreme commander, aboard the last remaining flagship, made a final stand. This was a do-or-die moment for both sides. But Bonner, along with his team of elite soldiers and allies from across the galaxy, led the charge. They knew that this final victory would change the course of history forever. It was the culmination of everything humanity had fought for: freedom, justice, and the right to protect their home.